So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Welcome to my iPhone 11 2 years later. In this video, I want to explain to you why I believe you should consider or strongly consider this phone in a couple of weeks when that iPhone 13 does get a launch and becomes available. I'm pretty sure Apple's keeping this one around for a reduced price than you even see right now, probably coming down to $499. And at that price, it's going to be a steal of a deal. It's already kind of a steal of a deal, but let me explain why in this video. So definitely wait on this one, but if you do, this is going to be a great deal. Now let me talk about the build quality of this phone. The aluminum around the edges of the iPhone 11 2 years later, I'm very glad I went with the silver. And now, unlike the silver on the iPhone 12 Pro Max or the 11 Pro Max, any of the stainless steel models, the aluminum one doesn't show much scratching or anything like that unless you dropped it hard and you nicked it. This one actually looks pretty darn good overall after my 2 years. Also, the glass in the back, I have been keeping this in a case because I just really love this device. I didn't want it to get cracked or anything, so it's not cracked up either. Now in the front, I constantly been replacing screen protectors, so it's also in good shape. I have cracked a few screen protectors, but it's also in good shape. Overall, it's a very good size, design, weight of the phone. I think most people can handle this one without thinking it's too extremely large or too extremely small. So it's in a good balance right there. 2 years later, I will say when it comes to the overall holding of this phone, you know, it's a little bit wide and heavy compared to some of the smaller iPhones. Even the 12s got smaller. The 13s are a little bit smaller than this device right here. So it's a little bit of something to hold. But again, the balance of, you know, the corners being curved like this 2 years later has just always felt great. And even when I pick this up now, it just feels nice in the hand compared to, you know, the squared edges. It just feels good right there. So very happy with that. Now, 2 years later, when it comes to the notch, this is one area that is going to get a little bit smaller, but I believe Apple's only going to shrink it. They're not going to make this notch totally go away, so this won't look totally outdated. It'll just look slightly outdated when it comes to the notch, but the notch has been here since 2017, and it's not going away fully just yet. So you can still go ahead and probably pick yourself up an iPhone 11 this year and be okay with the overall look of it. Now, discussing the ergonomics of the phone, again, we talked a little bit about, you know, how it feels in the corner. You know, this phone overall just has this kind of thick, solid, durable feel. So ergonomically, you'll just like the way it curves here. Now, one of the areas of contention with this phone are always been a topic that people like to talk crap about the iPhone 11 has got to be its display. And the reason for this is because the display on this phone doesn't touch OLED. There's budget Android phones with OLED displays. It's an LCD panel. So it does wash out a bit on the corners. It's not quite as beautiful as those, but Apple found a way to tweak this display to where when you are reading text, you know, it's still 326 ppi, it's sharp enough. You know, the way it's tuned, it's actually pretty accurate as well. So most people, unless you're actually really pixel peeping and looking closely at the display, very closely by comparison to another phone, most people never really cared. And it also got pretty bright as well. Also, LCD seems to be easier on some people's eyes. Some people say they get migraines and headaches, strained eyes when they are using OLED panels. I think that's an adjustment period. I think you would probably get over that if you use an OLED for a while. But, you know, the LCD still can be more comfortable to certain people's eyes. So you can see right here, True Tone is available, dark mode's available, and, you know, this one's not the easiest to see in sunlight. However, when you are indoors, it definitely gets plenty bright enough, and I don't think most people have an issue with its overall display brightness. I will say, though, that, you know, it's not the largest for when viewing content. You can go to a Mac style device if you want a little bit of a larger, you know, viewing experience. You can see up there, the notch can get in the way a bit when you are zooming, but you got plenty of canvas here. It's not a small phone by no means. On the way of features, we are running iOS 14.7.1 on this particular phone right here. However, it's going to have the same exact features that you're going to find on iOS 15 for the newer iPhone. So with that being said, you know, even the camera got some updated features. You know, it's going to be amazing to use this phone for the next couple of years. It's going to be just like using the 13 when it comes to the software. The only difference is the 13 will have added benefit of camera features, and they always throw in like one or two things, a couple of wallpapers and stuff like that for the new iPhone, but this one will still run basically the same software, and it's not going to be out of date anytime soon. So it's still a pretty good bargain value, mostly because of the world-class software updates that Apple provides to something like the iPhone 11 with its Apple A13 Bionic. It's still plenty fast. Even the A12 Bionic is still plenty fast. I can't really even choke up an A12 right now. So the A13 is very strong here, and you're going to get strong performance. Apple A13 with 4 gigabytes of RAM. We're not getting the 6 gigs you'll see on the Pro models, but does it really matter? Look at how this thing goes through iMovie. I can go crazy right here, and there's no lag. You can do stuff pretty insanely fast on here. You can video edit. That's really my true test of performance. Can it play games and can it video edit? Those are two of the most demanding tasks, and this thing could do that without breaking a sweat. So it's a beast in the performance. And even with 4 gigs of RAM, I don't think anybody's going to care at all. This thing flies through anything you can throw at it for the iPhone experience. I got some pretty good photos to show you here, but I'm just going to talk about the camera just for a minute. It's a dual 12 megapixel iSight camera capable of 4K 60. It does have a 4K 60 front camera. This is one of the better front-facing cameras on any phone to this day, and one of the reasons why people think that the iPhone 11 will continue to sell well is because they killed it with the camera, and they totally did. Even now, there are phones coming out that cannot touch the iPhone 11's front-facing camera, and this phone is 2 years old already, so very strong, one of my favorites to use. In addition, I like the simplicity of it, just having the ultra wide and the standard wide. We don't have to mess around with telephoto or anything like that. We just take our photos, frame them correctly, you get good quality, and then if you want a little bit of an ultra wide, you got that. So some people may love the telephoto, but for me, I really enjoy using this camera because it's very simple. It's almost like having a single camera with the added benefit of that ultra wide if you need to go wide. So very similar to 10R in that respect, but 4K 60, matching up video quality, camera quality very smoothly. Take a look at a few samples here and decide for yourself if this is going to be the phone for you. And 2 years later, when it comes to the battery life. Now, the battery life has always been strong. You're wondering, how does Nick have 100%? That's because I switch phones for videos and stuff. Also, I've been using S21 Ultra lately. You're probably not going to have 100% if you find this used, but if you buy it new, of course, it's going to have 100%. The battery life on this phone has always been easily getting through a day. So when you think about how the display is not the highest quality, not having OLED, well, at least you're saving on the battery department, because this does give you the ability to stretch past it, easily past a day, but maybe into the next day. And I think I'm saying you could get through a day heavy use on this phone very easily. So iPhone 11, big thumbs up in the battery department. It's still one of the reasons why it's a strong pick 2 years later. Good battery, good camera. Okay, so talking about the storage capacities, you can get this with the 128 gig, you can get it with the 256 gig or 64. I think right now they're only selling 64 or 256. However, keep in mind that, the storage, I wouldn't get the 64 if you're going to keep this a long time. It does fill up kind of fast, so do keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to the audio performance on here, we do have speakers on both the bottom and the top. Let's go over to YouTube. All right, let's talk about the audio quality. Apple iPhone 8 4 years later. Now, you can cover it up here at the bottom. Now, this phone does have, but the speaker grill up here, it also is pretty loud, but not quite as loud. A11. So crispy, loud audio, AirPods connect quickly. You can also get some Beats, you know, these wireless studio buds right here, and they will also connect to the iPhone 11, no problem, because Apple makes those too. So you're gonna have a very smooth experience if you get either AirPods or those Beats headphones. And this only has LTE. You know, a lot of phones, even cheaper phones, are 5G. But really, LTE seems to be about as fast as some 5G phones. Like if you're not on, you know, you're not actually connecting to the few 5G towers, they're giving you those massive speeds. Usually you're going to be running like a LTE plus. That 5G that I see on my phone most of the time doesn't feel much faster than the LTE. So right now, it's still okay to use a phone with LTE. I would say it's not the best choice, but it's still okay. And I gotta say, the color choices, you got white, you can get this in green, you can get it in yellow. There's so many colors to choose from, and yeah, they're a little bit more pastel than the 10R. The 10R popped a little bit more, but I would say that there's still nice colorways, nice color choices still for iPhone 11 that make it very attractive purchase. So I think Apple basically knocked this one out of the park 2 years ago. And talking about it, I don't know if I've ever made a negative video about this phone. There's nothing really negative about the iPhone 11, maybe just the display. And there are people like to come in the comments and try to do spec wars and start to talk about how, you know, they have this display sucks and I would never buy that phone. Yeah, you could just buy an older 10s or you could buy a 10s Max. Look, the fact of the matter is this phone nails pretty much everything a consumer wants. Good battery, good camera, easy to use, nice colors, decent size, not too small, not too large, pretty good price. This is a consumer-oriented phone, and Apple nailed it with this one. They knew what they were doing. And I think if they can get another phone like this in the iPhone 13 at a good price, it's going to also really do a very good job. Thumbs up if you found this video helpful. Again, I would recommend waiting to find this phone after iPhone 13 launches on September 14th. Mark your calendars, 10 a.m. Check that event out and then check out the price difference and then come back to this video if you need to confirm why you might want to consider buying this phone later on. Don't get it twisted. This is not a video trying to convince you of this over other phones. This is for those people who are already considering this. They're doing their research and they need some confirmation if this is a decent phone still to pick up. This is not for those of you who are into the Pro series, into the OLED, into the high spec phones. This is for the consumers that are looking to maybe pick this thing up. They got an older iPhone. They've been waiting on it. They've been waiting on it to come down. It's still good. I actually bought 2 family members one of these this year already, and they've been very happy with them. So very good devices. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well and peace.